active monthly users actually declined. Just 1 month into the current tax season and a week after an internal computer glitch temporarily suspended the processing of returns, the IRS now says it's been hacked and about 100,000 Social Security numbers and other info stolen. And after salads and other healthier fare did not seem to sell, Burger King is going a different way. And soon it'll begin selling grilled hot dogs. I'm Tom Busby, CNBC Radio.
If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish and see what real value is. Call 877-249-6988. You can also save a bundle when you combine DishNet high-speed internet with your TV service. Call 877-249-6988. Programming starting as little as $29.99, plus access to thousands of movies and TV shows. Stream to your TV, smartphone, or tablet. Call 877-249-6988. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get Dish today.
What does it take to get to the Grammys? Talent. Passion.
No, stop. Again, from the top.
Practice.
Me.
All those things and more. Actually, all it takes is a Citi MasterCard to get access to exclusive concerts and experiences. Book now at Priceless.com/music. MasterCard is a proud sponsor of the 58th Grammy Awards.
Certain terms and conditions apply.
Hi, Pat Matthews again. I want to talk to you about selling online. And when I say selling, I'm talking about your home, your car, and even buying a house or a new set of wheels. There's a new kid in town, and that's buysellmakeoffer.com. The revolution has already begun, and I invite you to be a part of it. You see, get in on the ground floor because buysellmakeoffer.com never charges item fees. Can you imagine what the other guys might charge you for selling a car on their site? Let alone a house. Well, buysellmakeoffer.com doesn't do that. And you can use Skype and YouTube videos to sell your products, big or small. Go right now to buysellmakeoffer.com and set up your account. For as little as $7.95 per month, you can sell up to 50 items, and they'll give you the first 30 days free just to try it out. Remember, no per item fees. Join the revolution today. Buysellmakeoffer.com. And tell them Pat Matthews sent you.
Good afternoon. It's 3:03. I'm Di Rice with the very latest in live, local, national, and international news here on KCAA, 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. Exit polls show that age was a large factor among New Hampshire Democrats who voted for Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton, especially among women. Females under 45 backed the Vermont senator by a wide margin, but women over 65 favored Clinton by a near 2-to-1 margin. And Park Ridge Avenue was shut down between Main Street and Corona Avenue yesterday afternoon as a dead man was found inside a van with a note on the windshield that said there was deadly gas and a bomb inside. Park Ridge Elementary, Park Ridge Meadows Apartments, and Amberlight Mobile Home Park in Corona is where this was reported. The threat was reported at 10:23 in the morning, and threats were cleared by 7 o'clock last night after robots breached the van and took out backpacks, containers, and other items. X-ray devices helped determine that no explosives were inside, and a sniffer device found no evidence of poisonous gas. However, questions remain concerning a liquid investigators found and the mental state of the man found in the van. They do believe him to be suicidal. And the city here in San Bernardino could be getting a boost in its road to recovery. County supervisors have tossed their support behind a proposed Promise Zone designation. Promise Zones are partnerships between the federal government and local agencies across the country aimed at creating jobs, leveraging private investment, increasing economic activity, expanding educational opportunities, and reducing violent crime. The proposed zone includes downtown San Bernardino and is bounded roughly by Highland and Tippecanoe Avenues and Mill and H Streets. Winners of the Promised Land zones will be announced this spring. Inland Empire weather, it is sunny and nice all week long. Highs into the middle 80s. Overnight lows tonight about 52. Currently we stand at 87. Okay, we hit our high, came back down, and now we're back up above our high. 87 degrees here in San Bernardino. Checking out your drive. Through Corona, the 91 East is slow from Green River Road to the 15, and then once again from Adams Street to Madison. The westbound side is slow from University to Central. In San Bernardino, the 10 westbound Waterman Avenue exit ramp has been blocked, and traffic is backed up from California Street. And through Paris, stop and go 215 northbound between Van Buren Boulevard and Cactus Avenue. And that looks to be it. So you're looking pretty good if you're not in those areas. That's the very latest with news, weather, and traffic on the station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM with What's It All About next.
What have I learned so far? I've learned that there is no one path right for everyone. I've learned that without my high school diploma, I can only do so much. My options were limited. I found a free personalized learning program with Learn for Life that has a flexible schedule so I could keep my job while earning my high school diploma. I found new career training opportunities that would jumpstart my future. What have I learned so far? I've learned that I can change my life.
Are you 14 to 19 years old and looking for a free high school diploma program with flexible meeting times? This program allows you to keep your job or important family responsibilities while earning your high school diploma. If you've fallen behind on credits or dropped out of school completely, get back on track with free tutoring, a caring faculty, and one-on-one attention. For more information on how to reach your graduation goal, visit learnforlife.org. That's LEARN, the number 4, LIFE.org. Or enroll today by calling 877-360-LEARN. That's 877-360-LEARN.
KCAA.
Welcome, everyone, to What's It All About? This is Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel on KCAA, 1050 on your AM radio dial and 106.5 on your FM dial, and my co-host.
Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. My name's Daniel Akeem here, joining Dr. Donald Jolly in wonderful San Bernardino. Beautiful weather outside today. Welcome to What It's All About, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in today.
Amen. What is it all about?
I don't know. You tell me. I was just in my living room. I was eating some pizza. I was drinking some soda, and next thing you know, I'm here. What is this place? What's it all about?
It's called transmutation. Didn't you go in
I thought it's teleportation.
Oh, teleportation. Yeah, transmutation is something else, right?
Transportation.
Well, what's it all about today is we're going to start out with some questions from our regular line, which is 949-680-1915. Anyone who has anything they want to talk about, any suggestions, any questions, call that number, area code 949-680-1915, and leave your information, and we will be happy to deal with it. One of the questions that we had is Ash Wednesday. What is Ash Wednesday? This call must have come in on Monday because it said day after tomorrow is Ash Wednesday. Well, Ash Wednesday, I don't know what it is. It's a time when you jump into the ashes, I guess. Ash Wednesday is a day that is celebrated in the Christian tradition, in the Roman Catholic and most of the Orthodox churches' traditions, and I believe the Episcopalians, at least some of the Anglicans, do that. As a preparation time for Easter. And the reason for a preparation time for Easter is it's a time to take stock of our spiritual responsibilities, our spiritual condition, the condition of our habituations, what we have been doing on a habituated pattern that isn't too good. We take a look, we examine our lives. We make some commitments during that time. It's kind of like we make New Year's resolutions, but we make commitments as to what we're going to do to increase our spiritual life, our positivity and spirituality, to look at some of our weaknesses and to work on eradicating them. Eradicating our weaknesses is very, very important. And so it's a time also where in ancient times they would mortify themselves. They would do something that was at great cost in terms of behavior or money or time. They may make a pilgrimage to some place in the Holy Land and dedicate the time that they were gone to looking at their spiritual life, looking at the practicalities of some of the things that they do that gets them into trouble. Most of us are habituated human beings. We behave in a fashion that wreaks the same results all the time, and then we ask why. Well, if you plant an apple seed, you're going to get an apple tree. If you want an avocado, you got to plant something else. So when you behave in a certain way, you're going to reap certain results from it, and you have to learn how not to behave that way in order to get whatever other results you want. So Lent is a period of time when we take a serious look at how we're behaving, what we're doing, what we want out of life, and how to really get it. And generally, some people mortify themselves during Lent. What does that mean? Well, it means deprive yourself of something. Take a look at what your inclinations are. And if we do everything we feel like doing, we kind of lose control of ourselves. We really lose control of ourselves. And our passions become our motivating forces, and we do things to feel good. We do things to satiate our carnal desires, our flesh, so to speak. And that never really does add up to a whole lot of progress in our life. So Lent is a time when, if you go to church on Ash Wednesday, the priest or the minister will, in many churches, will put burnt ash on your forehead in the form of a cross and remind you, remember, man, that thou art dust, and into dust thou shalt return. It's a pretty serious thing to remember. And it's supposed to remind us to tend to the spiritual things, because those are the things that really last. And what does this season end with? It ends with our celebration of the resurrection, which is our sign of the conquest of evil over good, the conquest of life over death, and it is supposed to give us hope. But we have to create that hope by taking advantage of the season of Lent. So those of you who want to buy into Lent, do a little bit of research on the internet, Lent, L-E-N-T, and then pick some time to read and understand it, and then make some commitments so that 40 days from now you're going to be better than you are now. So that's about Lent and about Ash Wednesday.
Oh, well, thank you so much for clarifying that.
Oh, did you like it clarified too?
You know what, that was actually my question.
Your question?
No,
Well,
I'm just kidding, but apparently I have a lot to reflect on.
A lot. Well, we all have a lot to reflect on. And one other religious-oriented question, I suppose that's because of Lent, is what is confession for? What is confession
That's a really
for?
good question. I think that's on the minds of a lot of people, and I think that is a question that goes around the thoughts of a lot of Christian Protestants as far as, why we're confessing our sins to a priest instead of directly to Jesus Christ.
Well, I can give you a very practical reason.
I'm sure that you can. I heard that you like to comment on everything, and you have a comment and an answer for everything.
Yes.
So I'm getting ready to ask you some questions next about this tragic stock market crash.
Oh, the stock...
I keep hearing the news. I keep getting the newspaper. It seems to be that every single day in the last couple of weeks on the front page is something about the stock market, oil going down, way down.
Everything's a mess.
As oil goes, so goes the market, apparently.
Well,
but back to confession, and then we'll get back to knowing everything and answering everything.
I have all the answers, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Am I known as the oracle of all things?
The oracle of all knowledge or something like that.
All knowledge and wisdom.
Well, you're known as many things to me, things that I am not allowed to say here on the station.
Holy Lord.
But that's all right. We'll save that for another time. Let's answer this question about confessions.
All right.
Confessions to a priest, perhaps.
Okay, I'll tell you the practical value of confession. If I say to you, go to God and confess your sins, what happens is we generally get in a prayerful state and we say, Lord, I'm sorry for everything I've done. I'm sorry for all the crap I've done, for all the misery I've caused. I'm sorry for it. And I
do that every night.
Good, except it's not enough. It's not enough. The reason for confession in the institutional church,
this is where the answer comes,
is to allow us time, and part of the preparation for confession on an official level is to make an examination of conscience. And an examination of conscience, you will learn how to do it when you're into that kind of thing, You go over your life. As a matter of fact, when I was in the monastery, we had 3 examinations of conscience every single day. In the morning, we would examine what we did from the time we went to bed last night until we woke up in the morning, which was mostly sleep, so there wasn't a whole lot to remember. But things would come to mind that you thought of, thoughts that you had that you needed to reconcile or do something about. And then again before lunch in the chapel, 30 minutes of looking at our morning. How did we treat people? How did we react to things? Did we solve any problems? Did we criticize anybody? Did we do something that was flesh-oriented? You know, we wanted something very badly and we did it without thinking. What did we do that took us away from the path of perfection? And then again, in the evening, after evening prayer, another 30 minutes on looking at all the particular things that we did during the day that contributed to our spiritual downgrading rather than our spiritual uplifting. And part of the examination of conscience was to write down the things that we really recognized as things that could be destructive if we kept repeating them. And those were the things that we told the priest. That's how we identified. Rather than go to the priest and say, Father, I sinned, I did all these, I'm so sorry. But he doesn't know what the hell we're talking about. And he cannot give us any kind of solid recommendations. It's like going to the doctor. You say, doctor, I'm sick. Well, the doctor wants to find out what's wrong with you so he can help you fix it. Isn't that right?
I suppose so.
I
yes.
hope so. I mean, if that's not the reason, we better get rid of medicine. So the same is true in the spiritual life. So confession really is an opportunity for us to take a look at the specific things that we want to work on in order to become more perfect in our spiritual life. That's the reason for it. And of course, in the scriptures, Jesus Christ did say, whoever sins you shall loose will be loosed. Whoever sins you shall retain shall be retained. He said that. Those are his words. Everybody who reads and understands the New Testament, they may have their own interpretation, but that's what he said. So he's telling us that the priests have some capability of helping to forgive our sins.
Well, I think that's true. I think that it's important that we don't make a habit and a ritual out of our prayer time. Find a place to go to, get connected with yourself, self-actualize, in short, as Dr. Jolly was just describing. Don't make it this repetitive, habitual thing that you do every evening or in the morning, where you do, in this case, the topic is confession, where we just say, I'm sorry for what? You know, recognize what you did. I have a very long list. And I heard that there was a time and date in the United States of America where even masturbation was considered something
oh my God, you want
pretty
to know,
bad to look at.
You want to know about
church.
that? I taught a class at UCLA.
You could confess that a couple times a day,
I got to tell
guess.
you about this. No, I got to tell you, this is very important. I had a class at UCLA called Self-Actualization and the Human Potential years ago. It was in the 70s. And we had access to a textbook called Eugenics. And it was mostly of the evils of human sexuality. And there was a chapter on self-pollution. Self-pollution was their term for what you just said, okay? And there were photographs, and this is an old book. You know, they had old rudimentary ways of making photographs. So in this book, they had young men, blind, being guided around by somebody as an example of somebody who did that self-pollution and went blind.
Oh my gosh,
And
that is
then-
hilarious.
then they
I
ha-
thought these were only stories and rumors I heard back in the day.
This is absolutely true. Anybody can go find the book Eugenics. I think it was published in 1917. It is the funniest thing you have ever seen in your life. Young men being led around who are blind because they did that to themselves.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And bandaged up with sores all over their body. And this book was about how to avoid all of this. And then somewhere along the line, somebody, some very rich man, I think he was some kind of cereal guy or something in the United States, built a center apparently, that you go to learn how not to do that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Self-pollution. I guess that's a mature way of describing it.
That's what it was called.
All right, everybody confess.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, why? Everybody does it. So I don't know why. I don't understand all that stuff.
So back to all the comments and answers that you have for us.
Okay, well, here is, I have one thing, though. Dr. J's on the line, and we want to bring him on the line.
Is he there?
Yeah, I think so. Is he?
Yes, can everybody hear me?
Hello, Dr. J.
I hope everybody can hear you, Dr. J.
Welcome to the conversation, sir.
Yes, you are our philosopher and our theologian, and we have one more thing to talk about, and then I'm going to ask you if you have had any. I don't know. Most of the calls may have come to our back line, but if there was any overflow, you would have gotten them. But I have one that came on the back line that said, "Would you read from your book, Voice of an Angel, page 22. I don't know what that is, but let me look.
Let's hear it.
See, Voice of an Angel, page 22. Okay, Voice of an Angel. I got it in front of me.
Hey, Jay, how are you?
I'm fine, great.
Thanks for calling in.
Welcome, my pleasure.
You know, Daniel, that I hate that question. How are you? Because you force people to lie.
Well, it's nice to hear your voice again.
But
you know what? In this case, it's fair for me to say that I actually know Jay and I care how his well-being is.
Yes, you do, and that's a good thing. But I tell you, in our medical center, I hate it when people are wandering around and all the nurses and the employees and the people in scrubs.
Well, ask me,
doctors,
how am I then?
They ask you, how are you? And I hate that because half of them are dying and we know it.
Well, yeah, and in a medical setting, I think it's really important that you
it.
don't go to somebody who's halfway dead or got a spinal cord injury and you ask them how they're doing.
No, you say, good morning, greetings, nice to
see you.
Amen.
That's right.
I don't like it either. I don't like how are you either.
I think it's we should eradicate it.
That's why I always tell people you want a truth or you want a lie.
Exactly. Well, and I do the same sometimes.
Sometimes they actually want to know, and I actually tell them how I'm doing, and they look at me in a very confused fashion.
Yeah, well, I think it's good to just answer some clever way, and then I tell them, that's a terrible question to ask anybody.
Not as good as some, better than others.
Give them some love. Look into their eyes. Reach out and touch their hands.
Hey, are you going to read? What's going on?
Oh, am I supposed to read?
You found something.
I got waylaid.
Here.
Okay, let's go to Voice of an Angel, page 22. The top caption is, "They gave me a crown of thorns that pierced his brow." Oh, they gave him a crown of thorns that pierced his brow and head. Then they flogged him with whips that tore his flesh, his muscle, and he bled. Suffering unbearable pain, rather than let him die again, drove rough spikes through his flesh. Did Pontius Pilate's men do this? The Sanhedrin had passed judgment, the Hebrew Supreme Court of the day. The crowd shouted for blood and his death without delay. Hung in agony and shame on a cross for all the world to see, he was the sacrificial lamb, at the same time heaven's key. That's interesting. Okay, I don't know who wanted that, but it must have meant something to someone, and it's very powerful. I don't want to talk about it today, but sometime before Lent ends, we'll talk about the reason that the Christian church teaches Jesus Christ physically died. I think it's a very interesting subject and should be discussed and talked about so that we can comprehend more clearly, because it doesn't make sense if we as Christians, and those of us who are Christians will understand what I'm saying, believe that Jesus is the Son of God and the second person of the Trinity and is therefore God, that God had to die to save us from what? It doesn't make any sense. But things in spirit sometimes don't make sense. So we'll talk about that another time. Dr. J, what have you got, or have you got anything from the phone lines on that end?
Well, yes, the two areas. One area was child care and child rearing, raising a family. That was one area, a couple of calls on that. And the other was global warming. People are really starting to get concerned about it. It's coming up in the political thing. And, the fact is that all these companies that are getting rich with billions of dollars, like Exxon and General Electric and all of that, if our globe goes in the toilet, they're not going to have a place to to make any profits, and they aren't going to have a population to exploit. So I think the public is beginning to be concerned about it.
All right. Well, what you say right now in those statements is very interesting because it really brings to light the overall problem that we are experiencing. And that overall problem is that our brothers and sisters, meaning all human beings on this planet, should be of one accord in making this a better planet for each and every one of us. Each and every one of us. And that takes away one of the prime components of a sense of and a culture of greed. It also takes away a lot of the egotistical things that are responsible for the behavior of some people, because we have some leaders in countries who run their countries according to their ego. And I know that recently there's been a lot of publicity about what's going on in North Korea, and a lot of what he does seems to be very anti-productive, non-productive, anti-working together, working for the greater good of the world, but trying to aggrandize your own ego and your own sense of power. We do that in our entire lives. We do that in our families. We do that in our friends. We do that at work. We don't seem to understand that the answer really exists in the way Jesus, now take away Jesus' religiosity. I don't care what you think Jesus is, but his teachings make a lot of sense. And when you look at his teachings, you see that he is teaching us how to get along with each other, how to love each other, how to respect each other. Well, kindness is it. That's the bottom line. And so we're not doing it. We're not doing it. And he came to teach us that that's the way to make life work, and we're not doing it. So your comment was very interesting, and we need to take it to heart and understand that we better start somewhere. And the somewhere where we can start is our own lives personally. That's number one. Number two, to encourage our family to become a unit that is dedicated to these principles. And then our family with other families, and that's what church really is supposed to be. Church is supposed to be the gathering of people for the greater good, for the greater good. Certainly we worship God, we give gratitude. Gratitude is very important. But the work of the people, the work of the church should be to be sure that we are contributing to the greater good of our families, of the group of families we call a community or a city or a country on a bigger level, and then the world. And we're not doing that. We're not working together. We're doing our own thing. We have the people who are so interested in all the money, and they too will die, and their bodies too will rot in graves. And I don't care how fancy their graves are, and I don't care how much money they spend on their tombs. They're still going to die and rot just like we are. Just like we are. And when I say we are, I'm talking about our physical bodies. I'm not so much talking about us as personalities. Because those of us who may be Christian, Christian philosophy is that we are created as eternal beings. Eternal beings. We are given a body to use for a little while that helps us to understand and comprehend a part of the world that is distinct from pure spirit. It is the material world. It is the heart-to-heart emotional world between human beings. And we have the privilege of having a body, which is a tool to help us do that. And we are supposed to use our bodies, our souls, our minds, our intellect, our energy to collaborate to make the place a better place to be, and we ain't doing it. Is that not correct?
You know what? Yes, I wanted to comment myself, and I just can't, because I think you just hit the nail on the head, and there's nothing really to say on this one.
You mean you're speechless?
I'm not. Yes.
First time ever. First time ever. Hey, I got the sign from Di, our lady boss, our producer and director, and the mighty holder of all the power, that we have to take a break. This is Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel on KCAA Radio 1050 on your AM radio dial. See you in 3 or 4 minutes.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy has only lately begun to gain recognition for treatment of chronic degenerative health problems, including stroke, diabetic ulcers, wound healing, brain injury, and many other disorders. Whenever blood flow and oxygen delivery to vital organs is reduced, healing can potentially be aided with hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Are you a candidate for hyperbaric oxygen therapy? Contact Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel, PhD, for a free consultation and see if this groundbreaking therapy can help you. Mention KCAA and get a free gift. Call toll-free 1-877-423-7986. That's 1-877-423-7986.
Or go to hyperbaric-solutions.com. That's www.hyperbaric-solutions.com.
Call toll-free right now, 1-877-423-7986. Hyperbaric Oxygen Therapy.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Behind on your payments or barely making minimums? Do your massive interest payments have you running like mad in circles? How long can you keep it up? Stop running. Let the Thomas & Law Group carefully plan your escape. The Thomas & Law Group has proven itself for over 18 solid years, helping thousands of people like you and me reclaim our financial future. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and offices in all 50 states. And the best part? There are no upfront fees at all. You won't pay a dime until the job's done. No upfront costs, no monthly fees, no banking fees. No other law firm does that. I'm a paid spokesperson, not a lawyer, and every case is different. But really, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, call the Thomas & Law Group right away for a free, no-obligation consult with a trained legal analyst at 800-460-9790. Call now because you're tired of running in circles. 800-460-9790. 800-460-9790.
Greetings and salutations. This is Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel on KCAA 1050 on your AM radio dial and 106.5 on your FM dial. And we are back from our break. And I had a quick phone call asking, what is Voice of an Angel? I guess I should have told everybody. Voice of an Angel is a book that I published that is a very interesting book, actually. And I published it because it is a compilation of messages that were given to me over a period of 10 years by we don't know who. We don't know who. Some guy delivered these, and one day I'll read the foreword to everybody. It's a page and a half, and it's very interesting. It's kind of mystical. But anyway, I have this 10-year book of messages from this angel named David. And they're very interesting. So some of you have copies of the book. I know a lot of people bought them. Amazon, I don't know if they still have them, but they sell it for $40. It's kind of an artsy book. It's a big book. But I offered to give a copy free to anybody who wanted it. And I don't have a whole lot of copies left from the publisher, but I do have a few. So if anybody wants Voice of an Angel, we'd be happy to mail it to you. But the requests have to come in a day or two. And it's the phone number is 949 680-1915, 949-680-1915, and just say, I want a copy of Voice of an Angel. My name and address is. And if anybody called and requested one and never got it, please let us know, and we'll remail it because we got a few back with wrong address. I don't know how the wrong addresses got there, whether the typist made a mistake or whatever. But just call in and ask for the book, area code 949-680-1915. Take care. And we do have a call on the line, so let's take it. Hello.
Yes,
hello.
It's Dr. J.
Dr. J, you left us there for a moment. Where did you go? And how was it where you went?
Who is it?
Dr. J.
Is this Dr. J?
Yes.
Yeah. What happened? We lost you.
Yes, you did.
All right, well, I was wondering if we had anything else that we needed to cover, or you had anything else to add to the philosophical...
Well, I think the final thing as far as this global warming and then this kind of stuff is that, if we don't have a world, then it's really kind of foolish, all of this stupidity with these large corporations and everything and the money growing and everything. It's nothing if you don't have a world to live.
Okay, so you know that, and I know that, so what are we going to do about it? What can we do about it?
Well, do you guys really think that global warming is a real thing? or is it something that we are just being programmed to believe?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You know, I kind of noticed that a lot of the politicians are not really referring to it as global warming with their rhetoric as usual. They're calling it climate change, which is something that happens naturally. I bet if we waited another 1,000 years, some very interesting things might happen, including the change of our land and structures, and California being possibly an island itself, etc. So, Dr. J, do you think that this is a real threat?
And how do we know, and how can we learn? We're all open to learning.
Well, I probably should stop spraying aerosol cans toward the ozone layer. That might help for a start.
Yeah, and everybody should stop smoking.
That's my portion.
We got to stop smoking.
Everybody should stop smoking. What are you going to do?
Hey, Dr. J, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so what do you think about that? Where's the scientific evidence of global warming?
Right. I was asking you if you think it's a real thing.
Mixed. I think it is an issue, but I also agree with the basic philosophy that the world goes through this cycle of getting warm and cold and warm and cold. The problem is right now, with all the billions of people we have on the earth, is that if we continue the way we are right now, the water level is going to raise. Countries and islands and places to live and great cities and such will cease to exist, and therein lies the problem. And so if we stop all of this fossil fuel burning of fossil fuels, we can control this. There is control there.
Well, see, I don't understand enough about all of this stuff. You know, water is a situation. There's only so much water on the earth. How can water change the face of the earth so much? It can certainly cover some areas of land, but some areas of land, it would appear to me, would have to be uncovered because the water levels would change dramatically. I don't understand that. I'm saying I don't understand
I don't understand too much of it, but it's not something that is unbelievable to me to imagine a capitalistic nation like the United States with so many large firms and agencies out here creating their own mumbo-jumbo to get us all sucked into on top of several other factors. I personally don't think that we can have too much of an impact ourselves as the human race. I mean, to have a significant, to really make a significant change on a global aspect. It sort of seems realistic. But, I mean, you are also just having this conversation with someone who believes that the universe is still put together by duct tape. So,
well, there's another problem, too, that is a very serious possibility, and that's oxygen. Oxygen is what we have to live, or we die within, 250 seconds? We die. And if we're using too much oxygen, or we're abusing oxygen or obliterating oxygen by some of the things we're doing, how are we going to get more oxygen? And where, as far as we know now, well, that's right.
We got to plant them.
That's right. Okay, that's the only way I'm aware of.
I think there are some laws in some countries or some areas where if you take a tree, you need to plant a tree. I think that's a really good idea. I mean, that is where oxygen comes from.
Yeah, without it, we're going to be deader than doornails. So there's a lot of things.
According to, there are some statistics regarding oxygen, is that 1,000 years ago, the percentage of oxygen was about 21%.
No, it's 21% now.
Yeah,
it was much higher.
It was
yeah,
like 45%
you're right.
or something back.
You're right, 40 some percent. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I don't know why I know that, but
in some parts of the cities and some areas of our environment, the oxygen level is much lower, and so it's really creating.
Yeah, I can make some quotations of research for you that will astound you. In Naples, Italy, a study was done quite some time ago, and they found that the oxygen level in Naples during the summer was around 16%.
Yes.
In Pittsburgh, it was about 18%. That Pittsburgh had all the steel mills, and in some other areas, it's been anywhere from 16 to 19%. Which 21% is pretty low, But that's what it is, and we can survive on 21%. We can, if we have 21% oxygen in the environment and we have normal breathing, we can maintain our O2 level in our blood and in our hemoglobin to 97 or 98%, and then we're okay. But if it gets down to the early 90s, we're in trouble, and we could massively die if we had enough pollution. Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I wonder what the oxygen levels might be in some areas of China.
Oh, it's awful. I just got back from China. I was there.
Tell us about it.
It was absolutely terrible. We could barely breathe, and the people are wearing those masks, which I know from a scientific standpoint makes it worse because the mask traps the carbon dioxide that you exhale. So when you breathe through the mask, you're rebreathing your exhaled breath.
I was always very curious about those little
and you're mixing it with the polluted air, which has a diminishing amount of oxygen. So I think they're making themselves worse by doing that.
Would you happen to know what their oxygen levels are?
Well, in some cases they're very low, 17%. That's pretty terrible. And but the areas are so bad that in downtown areas where the massive populations are, you can barely see the buildings. So
I think a lot of us have seen some of those photos circulating around.
It's pretty bad. They've had 17%, 19%. And somebody told me they got down to 16. I don't know. I don't know that to be valid or not. But that's something we can do something about rather quickly, actually. The more that we get away from the fossil fuels, and the more that we get away from other chemical activities that reduce the oxygen level, or at least begin to conflict with the oxygen level by poisoning the atmosphere.
Well, check this out. I hear that the oxygen levels in China are so bad that one of its latest fads is oxygen stations that are being set up across the nation.
You breathe them.
People come out and
breathe oxygen.
Which I think is very important as the most important element.
And some have a little ball, a little tank ball tank. It looks like a smaller version of a basketball.
Well, I think anybody can benefit from doing oxygen therapies. I don't think that you need to be a sick person or an ailing person. I think it's something that you should be incorporated as a common practice.
Well, everybody should do it.
Prophylactic.
Everybody should
pay attention to the way you breathe.
Except if you're in China. If you're in China, you don't want to breathe that deeply.
But just period. I mean, pay attention to how you breathe. I mean, let's face it, most of Americans are lazy breathers.
Okay,
that's what I had learned.
Let's have a breathing class.
We're not very active.
Let's have a breathing class. You want to have a breathing class?
We breathe with the uppermost part
shallow.
Of our chest.
It's called shallow breathing.
That's right. So we have all the stagnant air in the bottom of our lungs.
We're going to announce right now. Next Wednesday, we're going to have a breathing class. It'll take about 6 minutes.
Oh, come on! You know all the blood is over there.
Anybody who is listening, we will teach you how to breathe, and I will give you a quick class on oxygen measurement and how to chart your own oxygen levels, so that you'll know where you are. It affects a lot of things. It affects your sleeping levels. It affects your mood. It affects a lot of things. So, Daniel, you brought up something that's very, very important, and I want to follow up with it next week. So,
your blood pressure. Your anxiety is very helpful.
Absolutely.
They've proven scientifically now by doing these simple types of exercises. A lot of yoga consists of breathing exercise.
But you got to have oxygen to breathe. If you're doing yoga in China, you're out of luck. If you're in some cities.
Well, I think it's really important that people really take that into serious consideration.
It's a very, very important.
And you could always do oxygen therapy exercises.
Amen, baby. Hey, Di, do you have anybody on the line? Oh, Dr. J, you're still on the line?
Yes, I'm still on the line. And what I wanted to say was,
didn't forget
I've been listening to everything you've said, and the fact is that these are specific areas where the public can make a change and we've got to force these corporations to stop doing this.
Well, the best way to do that is to stop buying what they make.
Boycott them.
Let their sales go down, their profits go down, and they'll do anything you want.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
I think we'd all like to boycott some things in this nation.
Amen. Why not? Okay, Jay, is there anything else on your list of last few weeks that you haven't talked about?
Well, let's save it for next week. Let's say the family raising a family and child care and such. Let's save that for next week.
Yeah, we have somebody that we have a couple of people who called in that we could interview too on the challenges and perplexities of children and
yes,
raising children. It's not easy.
What's wrong with having the conversation now?
Well,
I think we all need a little bit of assistance.
I think it's good, but I don't have the input. I'd like to interview some people who have families and 6, 7 children and are trying to struggle and work and take care of the kids, and how do they do it, and mom works and dad works and they go to school, and all those practical problems I can't identify with because I don't do them.
Yeah, I think they're forced not to give up at that point.
Well, I hope so. There's so many beautiful parents. It's wonderful. And then there are those that are skags, too.
It's nice to come from a big family. I come from a big family
You
myself.
do. You do, and you have a beautiful
8
family.
sisters. One of them passed away. I still include her. 8 sisters and 4 brothers.
Wow.
And that's a big family.
No, I think that's a huge family.
You don't understand the blessing of having such a big family until you're much older and you can look back and appreciate it today. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and it is awesome. I absolutely am convinced of that. During the years of growing up, it's a different world because so much competition, and But as you look back and you see the incredible benefits of a big family, it's quite beautiful.
Absolutely.
Challenging,
Absolutely.
very, very challenging. So we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to do. So next week, remember, we're going to have a class on breathing. And we're going to explain to you about oxygen levels and how you can check them. I will tell you what you can buy very, very cheaply that will allow you to check your oxygen levels within 40 seconds. And I will tell you how to chart them and how to look at them by the week and by the month and see if you're average, above average, below average, and what to do about it. So that should be very interesting. So tell your friends that you are going to have a class next week on the radio about the greatest and most important fuel on Earth, even the fuel, and they use it in rocket ships too, don't forget that. But the most important fuel also fuels human beings, and if we're without it for 250 to 300 seconds, our bodies will malfunction, and that's called death, and we don't like that.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think a lot of people really understand how vital of a thing oxygen is, so it's very important to learn about this from the oxygen master himself, the former director of the largest patient load in the United States for hyperbaric oxygen therapy in Orange County, California. Dr. Donald Jolly has a wealth of knowledge on this topic. It is so vital and so important. All of the healthy bacteria in our body thrives from the number one fuel source, which is oxygen, in order to metabolize and to do the jobs and perform the function that these cells do. So again, I think that's very important to tune in and to find out what you can do, because it's just very simple steps from my understanding, and you could see the impact and the changes within a matter of minutes, in a matter of days, in a matter of weeks. So
and Daniel,
I think a lot of people on Wall Street right now need that.
Especially those who smoke, and those who are drinking and smoking, and those who are in polluted areas, and those who don't know how to breathe very well. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy. I see a lot of patients come to us with oxygen tanks. They have these little tanks on wheels that they wheel around with them because they've taken their oxygen tests at their physician's examinations, and they've been shown to have...
I think those machines are great.
Well, they are.
Do you know how much they're selling for in Mexico, perchance?
Well,
this should be interesting.
There's two different things here. There's the tank of oxygen, which is on wheels, and it's a small tank, and that's one thing. And then there's the
oxygen concentrator,
the machine that actually makes the oxygen from the air by filtering out the nitrogen.
That machine, I heard, is selling for like $1,000.
Well,
in Mexico, because they're that desperate for better quality air.
The machine that you buy here is the same machine, and it will sell for anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000.
Right, and I was just mentioning $1,000 as far as this is considered just the used machine.
Yeah. No, and
you could find one for a couple $100.
No, you go to Mexico and buy them cheaper. Of course you can.
You know, I put together this little project to help out with this thing going on in Mexico where so many of the citizens in Mexico City are looking for fresher air, so they're incorporating these oxygen therapy exercises. So I got together with a couple of my amigos. I call them the Border Brothers. No disrespect at all. They're wonderful people. And we got together and we bought a certain amount of oxygen concentrators, and we sent them down to Mexico on a truck. And the patrol over there knew what they were doing and charged them excessive fees just to get it across the border.
Oh, they do that.
Trying to do a good thing.
Daniel, they do it for our orphanage. We have a huge orphanage down there.
Yeah, you told me about that before.
They will not let us take donated things over there. They want us to take the money and buy the stuff there. Well, we don't have the money. Mm-hmm. We had 125 mattresses donated to our orphanage.
Wow.
We couldn't take them over there. So we sold them here. They were brand new. Sold them, and then we bought with the money what we could over there, but we got half the mattresses because we couldn't sell the mattresses at high retail, obviously. So that's a very sad thing.
Well, that's very unfortunate. Hey, let me ask you something. Not to change. Did you have one last comment on this subject?
No, if I do, I'll tell you.
All right. I was speaking too much anyway about all these politics and things going on. Are you voting? You're an elderly man.
Not yet, but I am. Yeah.
Or you're going
vote.
to.
And I'm praying about who. I have no clue. I'm trying to study what's going on and who do I believe and who do I not believe.
Well, I think it's really important that we put some serious thoughts before we go out and vote. I think it's a shame that we could get the common man out there, unfortunately, who might be a little bit uneducated, and just go out and make an uneducated vote. So I've been following it very closely. I'm very impressed, and personally I'm very happy to see Hillary Clinton getting her butt kicked by Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire this week. That was very exciting.
Is that exciting?
That was good for me. It was good
Kicking butt is exciting. Oh my!
There's just something about a presidential candidate that's running who has a criminal investigation, an open criminal investigation, and she's allowed to run. I don't know. That just doesn't make sense to me. It's also shocking that so many women voters apparently in the polls did not vote for her. And she's having trouble with a lot of young people as well.
It's a lot of stuff to go through and to learn, and I don't know, I don't know.
I think it's really important that we get out there and vote. I've actually worked on a board in Orange County, and mark my words when I say this, every single vote counts. We count every single vote more than once. And if we mess up, we have to go back and count all of them again. It's the most tedious thing you will ever do, to count 1 million votes or more with a group of 40 or 50 people. It's insane. So for those of you out there who are listening and who think that voting does not matter, it does matter. Make an educated vote in November.
Well, that's a big challenge. You better start looking at the candidates now, reading what they've done, what they want to do, trying to figure out who's sincere, who's not sincere. What a challenge.
Yeah, well, they're going to have a lot on their table, I think. Economically, there's a big market correction going on right now. A lot of people still want to have issues with the border. A lot of people still have challenges and want to see changes with the medical care system. That has the new one that has been implemented as well. There's a whole list of things. I think a lot of these things were brought into light by Donald Trump. So he did pretty well. And shockingly, Kasich happened to catch up a lot in New Hampshire. I don't think anybody really saw that one coming, but that was pretty cool. So I'm going to take a closer look at him and see what he's got to offer. That's excited all the voters there on the East Coast.
Well, he apparently is making some inroads, according to the statistics. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where that goes as well. Well, I want to remind everybody that it's a very important thing to really be serious about understanding that you are responsible for your actions and for the reactions of your actions. Remember that everything we do has a resultant reality that we need to deal with. And before we do something, we should look at the possible results. and then act with reason rather than with passion. Many of us act according to our instant carnal desires. What do I want? What makes me feel good? What satisfies my ego? Rather than what will work, because it's what will work that keeps us free. What will work will keep us free. When we do something according to our appetites, it doesn't keep us free in any way, shape, or form. If we eat too much food, we're not free once we weigh 300 pounds. It's not going to work. And are we free if we become wild prisoners of our sexual desires? Of course not. They're running our lives.
Control your lust for temptations, people.
Amen.
He speaks the truth. Cause and effect to everything.
Cause and effect to everything.
We see it all around us, but very few of us actually follow that.
Yeah.
I have an excellent example. See, there's a consequence to every single choice and every single decision that you make. And it's going to appear to you either in a matter of short moments, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, whatever it is, it will come. And it could be a good consequence or it could be a bad consequence. When I was 22, had a friend someone who was becoming a friend, unfortunately. We were the same age, shared the same name, went through similar history together. And when he was 15 years old, he made the decision to shoot heroin. And Daniel was his name. And when he was 22 years old, Daniel passed away in a bathtub full of ice across the street from the emergency room. I'm not going to mention what area or which hospital, etc., but this is a true story. And that all traces back to a decision that he had made. There was a cause and there was an effect to it. It took a while for the consequence to come around, but it came around. And I think it's very important that when we are faced with decisions, some of them greater than others, we really take a moment to think about them first and weigh what the consequences might be and what the risks are involved are and what the benefit from making this choice. What is the benefit from making this choice for you?
You sound like the great oracle, and that is absolutely the most beautiful advice I could ever hear, listen to, or give to anyone. Anyone. You know, I've seen well, of course, I'm much older than you are, but you've seen it too. Many, many people suffer and die from mistakes they've made with alcohol and drugs, and it all begins in the beginning when you start doing it.
You know, we both work in the medical field. Our listeners don't really, I'm sure they probably don't all know that, and this is true. We have seen very, very many cases, sometimes people that we try to warn in advance, and they think we're intruding in their lives. Aggressively, perhaps, but what it isn't for us. We're trying to tell them what we have seen with our own two eyes and what we know from our experiences. And unfortunately, most people don't listen, and they make the wrong choices, and they can have catastrophic effects. You can do everything right and make one bad choice, and it could affect you for years.
Rest of your life.
So pray about it. I think that's probably, even George Washington supposedly prayed. They asked George Washington if he wanted to be the king, not the president of this great nation. He had the opportunity to become a king, and it said that he went somewhere. And he was there for hours, and he came back and made his choice. Well, it was later revealed that he went and he prayed about his decision.
Amen. That's a good place to stop. We're on our way out now. This is Dr. Donald Jolly Gabriel on KCAA Radio, 1050 on your AM radio dial, and 106.5 on your FM dial. And we'll see you next week, Wednesday at 3 o'clock.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Sometimes I get to thinking there's just not enough love and romance left in our lives today. And that's why I like to reminisce and to relive that first feeling of love and do it all over again.
Did you boogie with your baby in the back row of the movie show?
The Wolfman's back all the way on KCAA at midnight, Friday and Saturday nights, coming in March. Don't miss the Wolfman on 1050 AM and 106.5 FM.
This is KCAA Loma Linda. CNBC News is next. Brought to you by BuySellMakeOffer.com. Go there now and join the thousands who have already signed up for a new and exciting way to buy and sell online.
CNBC Radio. Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen testified to Congress today that the U.S. economy is on the right track, poised for stronger growth and a rebound in inflation. But weakness in China and other struggling economies, along with the recent volatility on Wall Street, would likely slow the pace of future Fed